If you're ready to hit the track in the iRacing Ford FR500S Mustang, then sign up for the Barber Ford Mustang Club today. With great prizes from our awesome sponsors, this league is fast, fun, and best of all, free to race in. Take on 6 races of wheel-to-wheel action, all broadcasted live on Pit Stop TV. As a member, you will receive a $500 voucher to Barber Ford, plus entry into a raffle for a brand new Fanatec H-pattern shifter. Every point you earn on the track is 1 entry into the raffle, meaning you can race your way into a brand new Fanatec shifter drawn on December 15th. Battle your competitors at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Barber Motorsports Park, Brands Hatch, and for the finale, Lime Rock Park. Join the Barber Ford Mustang Club at League ID 3350 today. If you're ready to hit the track in the iRacing Ford FR500S Mustang, then sign up for the Barber Ford Mustang Club today. With great prizes from our awesome sponsors, this league is fast, fun, and best of all, free to race in. Take on 6 races of wheel-to-wheel action, all broadcasted live on Pit Stop TV. As a member, you will receive a $500 voucher to Barber Ford, plus entry into a raffle for a brand new Fanatec H-pattern shifter. Every point you earn on the track is 1 entry into the raffle, meaning you can race your way into a brand new Fanatec shifter drawn on December 15th. Battle your competitors at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Barber Motorsports Park, Brands Hatch, and for the finale, Lime Rock Park. Join the Barber Ford Mustang Club at League ID 3350 today.
Brands Hatch made itself famous with its challenging forest section, but tonight we're cutting a few corners, albeit only on the track. The short Indy layout is perfect for a series like the Barber Ford Mustang Club and their spec Mustangs that race oh so close. It is round 5 for the Mustang Club. Welcome to Pit Stop TV, the virtual Brands Hatch circuit. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. I've got Steve Singer alongside, and it is a pleasure, as always, to join you for coverage of the Barber Ford Mustang Club as we run into round 5 of just 6 races in this 6-month-long series that sees these monthly races spread out across the summer, fall, and winter of 2023. Our coverage, of course, brought to you by Barber Ford, brought to you by Whiplash Simcams, and brought to you by CC's Business. This is a pretty pivotal round for these guys. Steve, of course, Brands Hatch, race number 5. An interesting little course, only a little ways over a mile, not even a mile and a quarter. And, of course, if we're talking about round 5 of 6, points are starting to become pretty scarce. You've got to get them quick.
Yeah, I mean, personally, Brands Hatch, a great race course, especially for these nimble Mustangs, albeit not quite Porsches or GT3 type race cars, but certainly fun cars to run around here. The Grand Prix course, a bigger course, but here we're on the short course at 1.2 miles. Should be a fun race to watch.
Absolutely, and you can see the rest of the forest section that runs out to Hawthorne Bend, around Dingledell, and up to Sterling's, and then back into Clearways, and that's where we kind of rejoin the short circuit here. So we cut from Surtees right to Clark Curve, and it makes it just one long right-hand, not quite hairpin, it's like a carousel into a hairpin, back into just a sweeper. That brings you, of course, down or up, I think, the Brabham Straight to Paddock Hill Bend. That takes you down Pilgrim's Rise, oddly enough, and into Druids, Graham Hill Bend, of course, turn number 3. Gonna be fun with these guys teetering on the edge of grip. Every corner here gonna be a lot of fun, even though there's only 5 of them, or you could say 6, I suppose. That pit lane's gonna be tough. We will see these drivers head down there at least once tonight, and I'm just excited. I mean, this is a really, really cool racetrack for us to hit on this schedule, especially considering we need some excitement in these points. Kevin Parrish is out by 400 above Logan Keys. Rafael Franco there in the 3rd spot, not here this evening from what I've seen. In fact, I don't think I see many of our regulars from this top 10 in this race. I don't think I see Logan. Oh, Logan Keys is here. He's not on track currently. He's 4th in practice. So we're definitely going to see some things shake up in the midsection of this series, especially, I mean, Dustin Slider's going to grab a bunch of points. Points are up for grabs, certainly for Blair Patterson as well. Things are going to move around.
You know, you mentioned the practice session with Logan Keys being 4th quick. Kevin Parrish, obviously fastest right now, but only by a couple of tenths. We'll see if Keys can pick that up in qualifying.
There you see the schedule. Of course, we've gone through Charlotte, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Barber last time out a month ago. Here, I know it says the Grand Prix circuit, but that was changed in a really, really solid decision by Dustin Slider to go ahead and utilize this shorter course. I think it's going to make for some really good racing today. And then we're going to the classic layout next, out at Lime Rock Park, and that is going to be a fun time. Practice ending, Kevin Parrish, fastest as you might expect. You can see briefly where everybody was, at least if you want to pause or whatever. There is the rundown of practice standings. At the bottom, that would be Elliott Stage, about 8 seconds off, but I think these guys are going to close up here in, well, now sunset qualifying, where we've just advanced a bunch in the sim. 15 minutes on the clock. Everybody getting into their cars. This, of course, an open qualifying session. As they do so, let's take a look at our Whiplash Simcam's race details. It's a 45-minute race, open setup, base setups by McConey Setup Shop, unlimited tires, 100% fuel, and a 17 incident limit. Steve, we're in for a good one.
Certainly excited to see it. Didn't even realize we were in an open set here. That's very exciting to see as well. Cool that McConey comes in here with some base setups, but giving the drivers some functionality to go in there and play with things and make some adjustments to suit their driving styles. We'll see what happens here in this session for qualifying.
I really like any time a league is able to provide a kind of a base setup, but still let these guys do their thing, whether it's drivers or teams making engineering decisions. I feel like it really helps a series. The bottom end, everybody's got at least something to work off of, right? So guys that are brand new, or as we would say in the industry, green to this car, they're able to at least have some kind of springboard to catch up to everybody else. And of course, there's still the guys at the top that pull away. Kevin Parrish will be one of them, if not the one driver this evening, but it should help the rest of the field keep relatively close. Cars on track, qualifying underway. 13 and a half minutes left on the clock. Things only just beginning. Weather conditions in the sim, 77.5 degrees in the air, at least in Fahrenheit, 81 degrees on track. It's a warmer race for sure here at Brands Hatch, which is rather interesting considering it's November 10th, and this is the sole race outside of the United States. It's at a much further northern latitude than any of the races, I think, in the States in this series. I'm pretty surprised that it's this warm.
Yeah, the higher track temperature is certainly going to play havoc for some of these drivers. Being that we're in sunset, though, that track temp may start to come down a bit throughout the session, so we may see the fastest times, I'd say maybe in the next 8 to 10 minutes before this thing's wrapped up.
Logan Key is going fastest now with his first couple of laps of qualifying coming in. In fact, that was his second flying lap around the course. Here's a look at car number 43. A few different paint schemes out there on the track that we'll take a look at over the course of this session. How about Patrick DeSaulnier in the session? He goes third as Matt Thompson goes to the pole position currently in the number 33. No Zachary Lovelace to take that number 33 this evening, so Thompson will take it over. Here's DeSaulnier from New England. A good look at his 9 line, number 93. And Ed Sancinelli over here from Frito Sport. Good to see him in the field. I love that carbon fiber texture he's got going on all over that machine. The black rims really sells the look. Really stealthily getting around this racetrack as well. And Scott Segrist to the top of the board.
Pretty quick times here in the session. I'm just curious to see if we get anything close to what we saw in practice. I thought we were in the 50s. I don't have that in front of me here at this point. Maybe, Andrew, we have an ability to check that. But either way, still plenty of time left. And again, faster times to come, I'm sure.
Best lap for Thompson, who is now second quick, a 51.475, and he's just a little bit, 12 one-thousandths of a second off of Logan Keys for pole. As more times come in, Chuck Lobano comes across the line. He's pretty quick, down to the low 50, well, mid 51s. Dustin Slider gets a time across the line. He's through Druids now on his fourth lap. And you know what? The interesting thing about this being such a short track and still having 15 minutes to qualify, these guys get a chance if they want to actually go back, get another set of tires, and get some really good up-to-temp laps in. Maybe even twice if they want to. You can cut a lot of laps here quickly on this Indy course.
Yeah, again, only being 1.2 miles. Again, the Mustang, plenty of power. Again, they don't necessarily have the handling of a purpose-built race car made for road racing, but they still get around here in a hurry. Again, of course, anytime you're on a road course, turning laps less than a minute. Again, we saw practice times just shy below that 51-second mark. These guys are really getting around here.
Yeah, it's not often you see a road course lap come in anything under a minute. Formula One at some courses could get closer to the low 1 minute, 1 minute 10s, maybe 1 minute O's at some courses. Even NASCAR on their road courses, I don't think there's a single road course in the schedule where they clock in under a minute. Watkins Glen, kind of a 1-0 situation. I think Sonoma checks in about 1-0 as well, 109 to Watkins Glen's 107. So this is a short lap, a quick lap, and Logan Keys, so far the quickest in qualifying, down to a 51.336.
Moving pretty good here, and again, I expect those times with the cooler track temperatures that we may see here to come down just a bit, get a little bit faster. Again, plenty of time left. We're only 5 minutes into this session.
Dustin Slider moves up ahead of Scott Segrist. These guys all finding their ways through this session. Let's check out some of the newer drivers bottom of the board, like Billy Hensley in car number 10. There are others as well. John Casey, I've seen his name maybe once before. We're looking at his car already. Brian Howard is a new name to me. He's currently in the pit lane. How about Elliott Stage? He was slowest in practice, but going to put some work here in this qualifying session to move up the board. There is Elliott's number 16 car, and I like the use of purple. I'm a sucker for purple race cars. They really do look good. I like that number 16. Michael Nash, I think, raced at Barber last time out. Still pretty new to the series. And hello, Kevin Parrish. He's slower than Scott Segrist for now, but this number 69 Aerokinetics Ford Mustang is going to pick up quick.
The Parrish running a 50.9, I think it was, in the practice session. If you can back that up, it would certainly put him on the pole position with about 0.3 of a second to spare.
Scott Segrist currently on pole. He's come around to complete another lap, a 51.197, servicing the number 13 so far. And with that lap complete, he goes slower. Dustin Slider down to a 51.2. I think if anybody can get under a 51.1, they're going to be top 3.
As Parrish goes 50.88.
Oh, there you go.
Top of the board.
Maybe not top 3, maybe top 5. I think the shade that we just got over the track is really going to help these guys out. It really got dark all of a sudden around the racetrack, and there's still plenty of sunlight for these guys in this session at least. I think the race session is going to be a bit later in the evening. We're going to see the lights definitely be a necessity. But if that cloud cover lowers the temperature at all, oh boy, we are in for a fast about 8 minutes left in qualifying. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, track temp still is about 81 degrees Fahrenheit. I believe that's right where we were at the tail end of practice.
It is. So I wonder if it's, you know, I don't know actually how iRacing measures the track temp as you see Parrish go fastest. I am curious if anybody knows. I think my hunch is that it's like an average of every temperature on the whole racetrack. And so it's not going to register initially that the racetrack is cooling, but I think there's certain sections that if these guys go offline a little bit, will immediately be at least a touch cooler, I'd imagine. I mean, you look at in NASCAR qualifying, guys want to go catch a cloud. There has to be some kind of difference, right? They don't want to go catch a cloud in NASCAR qualifying for no reason. There has to be a performance advantage. So while certain parts of the racetrack might just still be hotter to where it's keeping that average temperature up, I think other parts offline are going to cool. And if Parrish can keep those tires off in the cooler racetrack, even on the straightaways, who knows? I don't know exactly how iRacing calculates all that temperature, but there has to be some kind of science to it.
Well, we've certainly seen guys take advantage, and whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, of using the grass for those cooler temperatures to cool the tires down. That would indicate different sections of the circuit, whether it's paved or otherwise, having different temperatures throughout the course of the lap. So I think you're right on the money there, Andrew.
And also, the slightest bit of shade, I think, would help rolling off the pit lane. Keeping the tires a little bit cooler so you don't go out, you know, you have a little bit longer to build those temps maybe. We'll see. Who knows? But the matter of the fact here is Barber Ford, BK Paint's admin box bringing us a pretty cool qualifying session so far. 6 minutes ago, Scott Segrist is not so far back of Kevin Parrish. Problem here is, if you watch his recent lap times, Steve, he's starting to trend in the opposite direction, and Parrish is trending, well, further the opposite direction of Segrist. Parrish is trending down, as in lower lap times. Segrist is trending up, as in slower lap times.
Yeah, Parrish has already gone faster than he had in practice, and by a pretty significant margin. We're talking almost a half a second faster than he was early on.
5.5 minutes left. Still a couple of cars that haven't made it onto the track yet. In fact, one guy who said he wouldn't make it this evening, Phil Keck, in the session. Good to see him. He's got a couple of wins to his name this season. Actually, I think one. Road Atlanta. And you know what? Come to think of it, I didn't even put it on the points graphic. He's a brand new driver into the top 10. Has not been in the top 10 yet this season. Missed a race or two. I think he missed 2 races, actually, to get things started. Charlotte and Watkins Glen joined Road Atlanta, won immediately, and then had a great battle with Kevin Parrish in race number 4 back in October. We'll see what this Californian is able to do with his Taco Bell 888. He's got a long ways to go, though, Stephen. I think Parrish has shown these tires keep getting better and better as you run X amount of laps on them. I don't know when the plateau or the cliff dive is for these tires, but he keeps getting faster.
Faster and faster indeed. I think going back just a minute there to talk about Phil Keck, looking at that paint scheme makes him want a grilled cheese burrito in a heartbeat.
You know, I'm one for the spicy potato soft tacos. If I had
potato taco.
Oh yeah, they are so good. The sauce really sells it, and I don't get just potato tacos. That would be, I think, a sin. I definitely go for some soft tacos, classic. I mean, childhood right there. But also that cheesy gordita crunch is hard to steer away from. A chicken quesadilla is a classic at Taco Bell, and I mean, you hit on a pretty good one. The grilled cheese burrito. I forget the name of it. I think it. Oh man, it's got like the red tortilla strips in it. It's like a beefy burrito, something or other. That's good. Whatever that's called, that's good.
I don't know. It all sounds fantastic at this point. I don't know how we got on that subject just by looking at a paint scheme, but now I'm hungry.
We're hungry. We're hungry guys watching race cars around a racetrack, and food and race cars usually go one in the same. Kevin Parrish, car 69, still up by a half second. It was a pretty quick run, it looks like, for Sancinelli, straight to second place. He goes just about a half second off of Parrish, so clearly in the neighborhood. Not quite for pole just yet, and Phil Keck is starting to work up the order. Here comes lap number 6. Well, 5 actually complete now for Phil, and he does not go faster. I think he's struggling with track limits.
Now, Phil was late to the session here. I don't know if he was in a practice session outside of the actual league session, but if he's coming in here completely green, I'm not surprised to see the lap times that he's running. They're not terrible by any means, but I expect it'll probably improve throughout the course of the event.
The sun peeking out once again through those clouds. I wonder if that, track temp can be a good thing. Did the track temp cool at all in that moment? It didn't. A little bit of temperature is a good thing. Too much temperature is a bad thing. Too little temperature is a good thing. I wonder if this track temp with the cloud was Goldilocks zone for Kevin Parrish. We'll see what Phil Keck can do. That's much quicker. 51.4. That is in the neighborhood. Almost. At least it's a lower 51, so we're getting closer. He's within a second now of Kevin Parrish. Goes off track there. Phil, though, we know he's got a bunch of talent, especially in this Mustang. Even if he qualifies a little ways down the order, he will make that up. Let's talk about some other new drivers to the series. You're new to the series, Steve, so a few new drivers out there. Matt Thompson out of California, new to us. Chuck Lobano only has 1 race under his belt. Scott Segrist, new to me, at least in this race. Patrick DeSaulnier has only run 1 or 2 races. And then Brian Howard, new as well. A few of the newbies around the circuit. And let's not forget Elliott Stage. And it seems like Elliott might be one of our new guys, but he's from your state, the Empire State of New York. Just trying to get his laps in here in qualifying.
Again, I'm just coming on here with a limited experience, at least with this season here being race number 5. But was he available? Was he running at the race at Watkins Glen, being from New York? I'd imagine it's probably one of his better tracks.
I believe Elliott is brand new. I've not seen his name in the past. I believe he's brand new to at least the league. I'm not sure how new he is to the sim. It does, and this is by no means any disrespect to Elliott, but it seems like he's maybe newer to the car at the very least. He was a little ways off in practice, I think learning the track a little bit, learning the car, and he's picking up pretty quick. I mean, he was 8 seconds off in practice. He's now only 3 seconds off in qualifying. That is a big-time pickup.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely takes some time to adjust, not just if you're new to this sim racing type thing, whether it's ovals or road courses, but if you're coming in completely green, as you said early on, road course racing can be a challenge if it's something you're just getting your feet wet into. That said, this style car, probably not a bad one to start with.
It really isn't. It is a particular car at times, but it's such a fun car to run. I do want to mention quickly, as far as the pole race goes, Phil Keck now within nearly a quarter second of Kevin Parrish. Wow. It was a quarter second until Parrish went quicker, a 50.546, and crashing there, Phil Keck taken out. That is a big-time blow. I think you can just about say that is pole position for Cars 69. I think that was contact with Dustin Slider as well. That is a big-time slap in the face, unfortunately, for Phil Keck.
Yeah, Phil's not going to be happy about that by any means, but at the same token, it looks like he's still going to start front row, track position being so important at every road course, but second place starting position, not going to be too bad for Phil Keck.
Ed Sancinelli coming around the circuit in a moment. He might have something for those guys up top. Thompson comes across the line and goes no faster. Sancinelli, the last car on track. Let's see what he can do. He's coming around the front stretch now based on time. And no, he'll be way off. So that is that for qualifying. You'll notice there's Dustin Slider twice on the graphic. That silly guy got in with his wrong account at first and wasn't an admin of the session, but we're glad he got that sorted out, as the rest of these guys have as well in qualifying. Good to see Ed here as well. I don't see Mike Nickham, who was a part of the series a couple of races ago. But good to see Ed from the Sim Pit Road Racing Series months and months ago here on Pit Stop TV. A little bit of crossover is always good. And you know what? Crossover is always a good thing. Let's talk about the crossover here between Barber Ford and what else we have going on Pit Stop TV. Next up for us, the next couple of broadcasts are both Barber Ford associated. It's the SimLab Production Car Challenge here on Pit Stop TV, brought to you by Barber Ford. We're headed out to Summit Point Motorsports Park on Monday. That is November 13th, and we're out for a week until SimLab Production Car Challenge once again when we go to Imola on November 20th. Then Tsukuba Circuit moved back 1 week. The Lucky Motorsport Solutions Street Stocks, brought to you by Elevated Performance. So November 21st, now their first road race date of 3 on the schedule. We've got production cars, and street stocks. That sounds to me like a whole lot of D and rookie class fun here on the iRacing.com sim. Steve, have you ever taken a street stock on a road course?
You know, I was just going to bring it up. It was probably a year ago, maybe even longer, going back to SCAR, the Spirit Class Auto Racing Series. We ran the street stocks actually at Tsukuba, and it was an absolute blast. It should be a fun one to race, and a fun one even more so probably to call.
And to add to the fun there, they're not only going to Tsukuba, they're going to the Tsukuba 2000 short layout, which is it just takes a right hand onto the backstretch a little bit sooner. The track kind of falls away from you in a fun way. I think that round is going to be a lot of fun. I'd like to see these guys go there. This league would be a ton of fun at Tsukuba Circuit. Hopefully Dustin's got this track on his radar in the future, but as we get ready to go trackside and talk about our what is it? 15? Yes, 15 cars on the grid. Go ahead and follow us on social media channels all across the board, down to the bottom of your screen. As far as the grid goes, usual suspects. Out front, Kevin Parrish on pole. Position number 2, it's Phil Keck. That is your front row of the CC's Business starting grid. Starting from 3rd place this evening, Ed Sancinelli. In the car number 257, Scott Segrist rolls off from 4th position. How about Matt Thompson, brand new to the sim, or not the sim, to the series, there we go, along with Segrist. Those guys 4th and 5th. Dustin Slider joins the grid in the 6th position. 7th and 8th, Chuck Labano, Logan Keys, a couple of in this case, veteran drivers to the series, considering how many new guys we've got. Michael Nash joins us from position number 9 in qualifying. Patrick DeSaulnier, he's got one other start in the series. He will start from 10th.
11 starting position, number 91 of Blair Patterson did his outside. It's the 18 of Brian Howard. Starting in the 13th spot, looks like John Casey, and to his right elbow, it's going to be Elliott Stage. 15th starter. I got it messed up, it looks like. My apologies, but
that's okay. I think Billy Hensley might have been the other driver in there, John Casey, one of the two. But we have got 15 cars rolling around here ready to go racing. Let's take a look at those weather conditions again. It has started to cool down, Steve. I would suspect that we're going to see track times very, very low. And you can see these guys already running off track a little bit there in turn 3, the bottom of Graham Hill. We're going to see some pretty quick track times. The headlights should be on here soon. And that is Elliott Stage in the back. We'll get righted back around, and we will go green flag racing this time out of turn number 5 very, very quickly. Here comes pole sitter Kevin Parrish around to the front stretch, ready to get us started at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit. Waiting on the flagman, and we are green. Over the hill, down to turn number 2 we go. Always, you see cars go out wide. We see that here. 3 wide into the Druids. This will be fun. Sancinelli goes right up the inside on that curbing, and the car that was kind of instigating all of that was Segrist. Now out wide goes Logan Keys. He loses spots into turn number 3, falls in behind Michael Nash. What a fun first few corners. No Phil Keck on the racetrack in the race. Not sure what happened to our second place starter, but I don't see him anywhere.
Interesting there with Logan Keys. I just watch him almost get off in the grass there on that first lap. I'm not sure how the tire model works with these particular cars. Does it take a lap or two like you'd see in the IMSA series for those tires to really come up to really perfect optimal temperature?
You definitely want a couple of laps before you really go for it. And I think we're seeing that as they come down through the compression there at the bottom of Paddock Hill Bend. Such a fun piece of racetrack. It really challenges these guys to hang on when the car bottoms out, skids along the asphalt for a half second. Dustin Slider, though, third place, hanging on over Scott Segrist, Matt Thompson fifth, Chuck Labano sixth, all the way back in eighth place, Logan Keys. He comes in a really opportune spot in the point standings, way up there, just by virtue of staying in this series. He joins us tonight from the second spot in the standings, eighth place, not where he wants to be.
On board with Logan Keys here, complete this lap. Very intricate racetrack. It's not very busy as far as the number of corners, but it's very unique looking at this front straightaway here, coming down and then back up the hill into turn one.
Kevin Parrish goes purple as you'd expect. He starts to walk away from these guys, battle for second. Sancinelli loses it to Slider into turn number one. Sancinelli, though, staying driver's right. Slider kind of fades on over and keeps himself that position. Down the hill they'll work. And you're right, it's one of the more unique straightaways in racing, I feel like, the front stretch. At least unique front straightaways. You start at the bottom of the hill out of out of Clark Curve it is, and work up past the pit lane. Then you kind of flatten out, go back down maybe a little bit, and you really go up the hill suddenly for turn one, and Dustin Slider goes way off the hill there, off the racetrack, into the gravel. Slider rejoins in the sixth position. Nash can come up on him and take a look at a turn one. That's where you go back up the racetrack, and it's such a weird approach to turn number one. Even weirder for the rallycross circuit here, but such an awkward approach. Further back of the field, Blair Patterson, currently 11th, looking up ahead at the Rothmans, number 18 of Brian Howard. And Patrick DeSaulnier there in the ninth spot, another car ahead. Billy Hensley, John Casey, Elliott Stage following up afterwards.
Meanwhile, Kevin Parrish really getting out on everybody here. 1.7, now 1.8 seconds, and growing that advantage over the second place machine of Edgar Sancinelli.
And Ed is a guy that runs a lot of Mustang racing. A lot of these guys, in fact, run against each other frequently, or at least a handful of them in this race. There's a lot of new guys, so I'm not entirely sure. But I know for sure that Kevin Parrish, Ed Sancinelli, they run together on Tuesday evenings in the American Muscle Series. A very popular Mustang-centric series that runs only this race car against some of the world's best Mustang drivers on some of the best tracks on iRacing. Really is a fun series from what I've seen of it. I haven't seen much, admittedly, but I hear so many good things about that particular league. Meanwhile, here we go. Battle for sixth place. Dustin Slider trying to get back ahead of Michael Nash and Steve. This 15 car here, he's clearly got some pace, right? He started up, what, fourth position? No, sixth. Well, he was up in third, very quick at least, and then second, pretty quick off the start as well. We expect him higher than this seventh spot. He should get by Mike Nash, I would assume, pretty easily.
I mean, he is down one spot officially from qualifying, but he's not losing any ground now to that number 11 Mustang out of Canada and Chuck Labano. He's right there to the back bumper, taking a look to the inside. He'll have the position into the braking zone. Cherry red brake rotors on both machines as he takes the spot away.
That was a road course slide job. That was about as good of a road slide job as you'll see. That was a big move from Dustin into Druids. That took some fortitude, we'll say. Logan Keys come up on this fight. He, of course, had the issue there on lap 1, lap 2, got loose. Went out to the outside of Graham Hill Bend and going to try and fight back. I mean, he was quick in qualifying. He was, he is second place in points. I would expect him to be able to work through this field, but it might take the better part of 45 minutes if he hasn't done so just yet. He's still in 8th place, a little ways back.
Meanwhile, Elliott Stage having another moment out on the course, losing the race car, not getting into the fence and not collecting anybody else, but he's going to rejoin the field in the 14th position. And
you know what? Any time that a driver sticks with it, I know he's a lap down early here, it definitely seems he's new. Anytime a driver sticks with it against circumstances that the lights flick on, I always admire that. And whoa, Logan Keys, what a move there on Michael Nash. getting his way by through Surtees, and Surtees with this track layout becomes kind of a left-right flick, almost like a chicane. Such a cool piece of racetrack. It actually feels more like a country road. You have just kind of a left-right flick that you stay straight over. But here is Elliott Stage, brand new to the league. I think one of the newer drivers in the series to iRacing. He holds a rookie class license, so definitely new. Hey, he's keeping it clean, at least versus the other cars. Might have had a couple of mistakes already. That's okay. He's not taking anybody out, getting off the track in this case, a little aggressively letting these guys go by, but he's just trying to learn. He's here for all the right reasons. I admire this. He's going to stick with it.
I don't know if he's sticking with it, or maybe, I don't know. He stopped there. We thought he might have been leaving the session, but I was just going to say a moment ago, again, you mentioned he was aggressively getting off the racetrack, just trying to stay out of everybody's way. Again, I admire that too. He's trying not to ruin anybody's race, but he's also out there trying to learn in a competition setting. There is nothing wrong with that. You got to start somewhere.
Absolutely. I mean, these guys, everybody, I went through the rookie ranks of iRacing. It was, 7 years ago now. It's been a little bit. The sim has changed in a few ways, but everybody goes through that stage, and you're never going to get to winning races without losing a few. I don't know anybody that won in their first race on iRacing. Whoa, that's a slide, though, from Michael Nash. I don't think I've met a single person that won straight away. You have to at least pick up the sim in some form or fashion. Some pick it up quicker, some take a moment, maybe to find their right car and track combo where it finally clicks.
You know, you go and you talk to some of these guys that run Road to Pro and they're successful. You take the best guy on the sim in iRacing, and guaranteed, even him, who's got however many wins, he's got more losses than he does wins. So like you're saying, Andrew, you definitely have to start somewhere. You're going to lose a lot of races, but you gain a lot of experience in that time frame.
And I feel like with this series in particular, we haven't really focused on it much. There are a lot of prizes up for grabs. I think it almost encourages drivers that might be new, at least to this car or road racing in general, to come in, check it out, at least give it a shot. It's a pretty easy car to pick up, I feel like, to at least get around the racetrack. H-pattern, boxy, it doesn't really get too free unless you really punch the gas. It's got a decent amount of grip, a decent amount of downforce. It's a relatively easy car. I feel like if you're going to take that leap over like a Miata, for example, to pick up on a road course, and I think for oval guys in particular, if you've done any kind of road racing in a stock car, this is easier, 100%. Once you get used to it not being, really free on throttle, this is absolutely easier than a stock car on a road course. Really fun to drive as well. Really fun to drive side by side. Again, it feels like kind of a setting where it promotes guys who are crossing over or brand new to the sim to get in here, get a few laps in, and make a big transition. It's 6 months long as well, Steve. There aren't many leagues that run 6 months and only run 6 races. You have a chance to practice and learn the car in between races.
Yeah, and with all that said, it's just, you know my background. I mean, I'm a stock car guy, but I prefer to be on road courses, so there's that aspect of it. I just got to wonder, if you're trying to improve your skill level in a stock car, whether it's a truck or a next-gen cup or even a late model stock, would this be a good car to start with just to try to get the mechanics and the basics down?
For sure, considering its H-pattern, I think that's a good way to start. Even if, we got one car crashed. DeSaulnier, no right front on his car. That's a problem. That is not where you want to be. And I would imagine that comes with some kind of help. But absolutely, this is a good stepping stone for drivers that want to learn road course racing in a stock car. Come over here, get the fundamentals down of getting apexes, what's fast. It's going to be a little bit different still, but it's a really good stepping stone, especially to introduce yourself to road racing. Better, I would say, than the Mazda Miata. Here's what happened, though, to Patrick DeSaulnier. Got out to the grass on the outside of Clark Curve, and that is a beefy hit.
Put some yellow barrels there, and it might as well have been Kyle Larson at the wheel.
Oh, no. Well, here's DeSaulnier on board. We'll watch through this impact. This is a really big hit to the end of that pit entrance attenuator.
Just dipped the left rear into the grass, and it was enough to send him right across the racetrack.
Up over turn number 5, apex curbing there on the right side, kind of floats over, straightens the wheel out a little bit early. I think he might have just turned as well when he got way out there. Just happened to weight shift the car on the grass, and that's what sent him around. That is one of the other things about this car. It teaches you how to weight shift really, really quickly. That is the way to be quick in these cars, I feel like. Weight shift and keep momentum up, as Logan Keys now starts to find up to Dustin Slider. These guys running 6th and 7th. A couple of drivers that should be much further up, but are not because of what happened to them early in this race. And I think both of them are relatively self-inflicted, as here comes Dustin Slider on Scott Segrist. Oh! Big checkup.
Segrist having a little bit of trouble getting the power down on corner exit. Opens the door to his right side, but he slams it shut into the left-hander. Now he goes wide. A little bit of a crossover, but no, he's going to tuck back in behind. That's Dustin Slider.
Inside the helmet of car 15, Dustin Slider out of Michigan. Of course, you can get in contact with Dustin Slider to get yourself a new-to-you Ford at Barber Ford, whether it's new or used. Slider, though, trying to just get by this number 13 car right now. He would love that 5th position. And to put one more car between himself and Logan Keys. These guys should have to, or they'll be on the verge. No, they won't actually. It was just the one race. See, we had a fuel mileage win for Rafael Franco at Watkins Glen. Since that race, I keep thinking these guys will have to pit. They don't. 100% fuel. They're good to go for the full 45 minutes. So, even more so, Slider wants space between himself and the 43 car.
You want to talk about space? Kevin Parrish out to a pretty significant advantage during all this. 6 1/4 seconds over Ed Sancinelli.
Yeah, really stretching his legs. This is pretty well to be expected. He's one of the best Mustang drivers on the sim. Routinely on Monday evenings when we check in for production car challenge action, this guy is racing with Benjamin Roberts and guys like that at the top of the series and winning races, if not in that broadcasted split throughout the middle portion of the week. In fact, you know what? We can pull up point standings from the most recent round going into the Nürburgring, and there you see Kevin Parrish in the top 5, 11 wins for his 27 races. He wins pretty often. Maybe not as often as some others, sure, but he's still in the top 5 in standings globally, and that is a big accomplishment as we've got racing for the 6th, 7th, and 8th positions. Slider has fallen back to 8th, a mistake there for car 15.
Yeah, Slider now down 2 spots from where he started this evening in the 6th position. Now he's running 8th. Oh, and we got trouble out of the corner. It looks like Slider into the grass.
Well, and that is the replay.
Off the tire pack.
So yeah, that's exactly what happened to Dustin to pull him out of this spot, and we'll take a look back even further and see what happened to him to get him in that situation, because he was pushing through Druids because of what happens here in turn 1. So right to apex, that was nice, but he just carried too much speed over the hill, out to the gravel. Keys opens up to the inside there. Slider's trying to get back into a groove, and on corner exit, just gets loose.
Now I got to imagine that his off there into the gravel might have dirtied up the tires just a bit, increasing the likelihood of that issue.
Very likely, yeah. Between dirt on the tires and just trying to get aggressive and get back to where he needed to be in that fight, both I think really contributed to that. Scott Segrist now falls to 7th in front of Slider, so this number 13 continuing to fall down the order. Had a great start, but as these tires wear off and the fuel burns off, he's really struggling way out into the gravel there. Maybe hangs on to it. Here comes Slider. That was a good catch.
Yeah, for a moment there I didn't think they were done, but they got away with it.
Meanwhile, battle for second brewing. Matt Thompson, he's new to the series, but not new to fighting, it seems. He's coming after Ed Sancinelli, and he's got Chuck Labano just behind. Apparently, 3 really even race car drivers in this Mustang here at Brands Hatch. This is going to be a good fight. Labano with a front row seat to Thompson, bringing it to Sancinelli. Now Thompson kind of falls back in turn 1. That almost opens the door for Labano for Druids, but they will stay just far enough apart. This is a really cool fight. You can see the difference is Sancinelli over Thompson and Labano behind Thompson. Bottom of your screen.
Yeah, Labano all over the 33 of Matt Thompson. Only a car length between them for the time being, but he's been able to close the gap a lot closer in the middle of the corners.
Thompson now falling back from Sancinelli. I wonder if Ed had an off somewhere or got loose somewhere to back him up to Matt Thompson, because it looks like Ed's got better pace. That or Matt got shaken up by something, whether it was his own mistake or going a little bit wide somewhere, who knows. Maybe it was even just Chuck with his headlights in the mirror. It seems like Matt got shaken up a little bit and is falling back quickly. Fight now in the back between Segrist and Nash. Segrist trying to hang on. And they come up here on Elliott's stage, the lapped car. He has gone 2 laps down. Nash on the inside of Druids. He's going to pick that spot up for the moment, but now Segrist on the inside for Graham Hill Bend. He fires back through and keeps that 8th position for another corner.
Definitely threw it in there, but he made it stick. No contact, a clean pass. I thought for a moment we might see a crossover, but the opportunity was not there.
Segrist a bit loose there through the rest of Clark Curve. Elliott stage goes out wide, opens up the track for these two to go on by. Again, that 16 staying nicely out of the way. Learning here, picking up more and more speed. His last lap was a 56.0, his best lap of 54, so he's in the neighborhood. He has really picked up nicely as these guys fight around him. Further up, Brian Howard starting to work on Logan Keys, and Keys might have actually truthfully just passed Brian Howard. Regardless, these two close on track. It kind of raises attention briefly on timing and scoring.
Now, Howard's still running in that 6th position, but he's still having a strong run here tonight. He's up 6 positions, started 12th here tonight.
Can't argue with that. Up 6 spots in a 15-car, or I guess in this case, 14-car race, with Phil Keck not able to start the race. This is a really solid day for Brian. I don't recognize his name. We had to make a graphic for him right before the race got going. Couldn't get everybody's number graphic for the race, but really cool to see this car doing really good.
And with all that said, though, I also want to mention here, we've talked about it a little bit early in the broadcast about the cherry red brake rotors. It's really incredible to see how much rear brake these guys have dialed into the race cars. It does help them be a little bit later onto the brakes, getting into the corners, but it does make them a little more unsettled. So it's kind of a trade-off. You got to kind of play that game. Do I want to slow down late but run the risk of spinning the car out? That can happen, especially when you see those brakes turning cherry red. That's how much heat they're putting into that rear assembly.
You can see it there into turn 1. What's interesting is if you caught it briefly from the tower camera on the front stretch, they were staying red on the front stretch. That's the longest straightaway of the lap. A lot of braking, short straightaways here in this lap on the Indy course. And part of what's contributing to that rear brake glow is, of course, this is a Mustang, right? You've got big brakes in the front, small brakes at the rear, and even the big brakes up front aren't very big. Mustangs aren't usually known for great brakes, right? So there's relatively small brakes all around for a big, heavy muscle car. They still stop pretty well. Great car, but as opposed to, say, a Ford GT, the brakes are pretty small.
You know, with all that, too, I mean, you think about, you talked about the Miatas early on, a very light, very nimble style race car versus this Mustang. You even mentioned it being a heavy muscle car. You could have some pretty stout brakes on it if you took them off of this Mustang and somehow managed to retrofit them onto a Miata.
Oh, yeah.
But because of the weight of this car, there's not a whole lot you can do. Yeah, you can try and cool them the best that you can, but as you even mentioned, Andrew, the rear brakes being as small as they are and dialing that brake bias to the back for the better handling, they are definitely going to get a lot hotter.
Scott Segrist pit lane in this case. There is a lot of damage to that number 13 Ford Mustang. We'll take a look back at what may have happened, as it looks like he will disconnect from the session. I do want to mention, pulling up the car stats, 3,600 pounds. That's NASCAR weight And I guarantee you, while they are probably race brakes, I guarantee you they are not NASCAR spec brakes by any stretch of the imagination. This is a hard car to stop. I mean, this is a production car at the, I guess, most basic degree. Is there you see Seagrass moment out of Druids. Big impact there to the tire barriers. But while this is a relatively production car, it's been stripped down to a point, of course, to take some weight out of the machine. As Matt Thompson has had a problem, he falls to 4th. But there's also been a lot of weight put right back in. I'm sure some race parts in the motor and the suspension, and I'm sure there is a significant weight increase with all of the tube chassis reinforcement inside of the car. All of the roll cage has got to be a massive hit to the overall car weight.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're going to strip all the trim pieces out, the seats that aren't needed. Obviously, you're going to put a racing seat in it. You talk about suspension components, engine components, roll bars, all that stuff definitely having to go in. But as far as that is concerned, usually made out of lightweight material, very strong lightweight material, but it does still add some poundage to the race car.
Seagrass now falling out of the race. That promotes Stage up to 12th. DeSalmier has dropped to 14th, and it looks like will not be rejoining us anytime soon. The fight for 5th. There we go. Keys putting some pressure on Brian Howard. And unfortunately, that fight that we saw, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, really has fallen apart as Thompson had his moment a couple of laps ago. Not sure exactly what happened to him, but we can look for the replay briefly and see if we can find out a bit more of what might have happened to that number 33 machine. This is before the issue. Hopefully it's close to the replay. We'll find out. That bright green and purple 33 car was occasionally putting some pressure on the 57, but routinely moving over into Druids to block the inside lane from the number 11 of Lobano. Wonder if maybe he went for a move on Ed? And it's been a few minutes since this happened. This is about 3 minutes prior from where we started the restart. So about 3 minutes ago, roughly, maybe 4. That lap goes clean. I'd imagine then it should be this lap where the 33 has some kind of issue. Turn 1 has been a trouble spot. We saw Slider have some issues there. Seagrass had issues out of turn number 2 at Druids. I think Slider had an issue there as well. Logan Keys did as well. Intentionally wide through Druids, and Thompson goes out wide. That is almost a carbon copy of Seagrass.
Look just the same.
And I wonder...
Still also lucky enough to stay out of that tire pack.
Yeah, Seagrass had just done it maybe a lap, maybe 2 laps prior.
Now, meanwhile, we go back to this battle we were watching prior to the replay between Howard and Keys. Remember, just a few moments ago, prior to that replay, those positions were reversed. Howard was behind, Keys was out in front. Howard has since taken that spot back. Now he's up 7 positions from that 12th starting spot. That's
important. Logan Keys, second in the point standings, not able to stay ahead of the number 18. You know what? Actually, this might be the same orientation they had, because keep in mind, well, I could have sworn Logan Keys was trying to pass the 18.
I'm pretty sure it was switched. And see, Thompson is still running in that 4th spot.
Was it Seagrass dropping out? No, because that was well earlier. You must be right, because the 18 was in 6th. See, you must be right. It just isn't clicking in my mind as you see a fight now, the opposite end of the circuit from this camera. That's through Clark Curve. This same fight, in fact. And Elliott Stage moves up out of the way, playing nicely.
Yeah, Stage still doing a great job out there. Again, just clicking laps off, gaining some experience, and doing a great job staying out of the way of these battles. Got to give him definitely a round of applause when this one's all done.
While these guys continue to fight, let's bring in a driver on the racetrack. Dustin Slider, always open to talking to us during green flag racing. In this case, he's just behind these guys. I'm not sure if Dustin is at all aware of the fight ahead of him, but Dustin, you had a couple of moments on the racetrack, gone off a couple of times, but you're hanging on now. How's the car?
The car is great. The driver sucks. There's a loose nut between the steering wheel and the seat, I guess.
Well, this is a tough track. For as short as it is and only having 5 quarters by technicality, this is still tough. It seems like trouble spots are turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you go down turn 1s. Obviously, it was at Graham Hill. You go downhill, and the car doesn't want to turn in, and then all of a sudden it wants to turn way more than it needs to. Is what it is. I really thought we had a top 5 car maybe based on our qualifying. And then the driver got in the way of the 15 car.
And how about this fight ahead of you? Are you aware at all of how close these two are and the potential maybe for you to close back up a little bit?
I'm hoping they get to racing here real soon. Just because I got another 8 seconds up track. I think they might be a little faster than me. I think if I was ahead of them, I could keep them behind me. But yeah, I'd like for them to get racing a little more. 1 second though, I do have to commend Elliott here. This dude just showed up in a practice tonight, and I think he's staying out of everybody's way, doing all right, and he's just sticking with it, man. I like that.
He is. We've talked a lot about Elliott and his being brand new, his greenness, I suppose, newness to the sim clearly and to the league. Doing a great job. Quickly before we let you go, how about tire temps, weather? I know you can't see live tire temps, but do they feel greasy? Do they feel okay? It's a pretty warm night in Kent, England.
I feel like it's tight. I feel like the tires are warm. I got no front grip on entry, and I got no rear grip on exit, so it just feels like the car is just sliding everywhere. Now, granted, a lot of that's the weight of the car, but that is what it is. That's to be expected with the car a little bit, but it's definitely it's a driver's car track combination. You got to stay up on the wheel. There's really no relaxation at all.
And my co-announcer here, Steve Singer, brand new to these cars, this league, but he brought up a great point about the cherry red brake rotor glow in the rear of these cars. How much brake bias do you have dialed to the rear?
You know, I asked Edgar that. I'm actually running a lot less than everybody else. I'm running a lot more front bias than everybody else is. He's down around, I think Edgar's down around 58, 56%, something like that, which is strange because typically at every track we've gone to, it's been a real front brake bias heavy track. And I noticed the same thing, just the rear rotors are, they're glowing, and I'm used to the fronts glowing.
Well, hey, as the fight ahead of you heats up, real quick, if somebody watching this broadcast wants to get a Ford from Barber Ford, I know how, but tell them how they can get one.
Man, all you got to do is just go to barberford.net, pick out a car, inquire on a car, and ask for me, ask for Dustin. You can type in Mustang Club, whatever you want to do. And then if you are a iRacing member in the league, and that means you could just jump in to get into the league for no other reason than just to get the discount, we will match X-Plan, which is supplier pricing, Ford supplier pricing, which is thousands of dollars. Used cars, we do $500 towards the towards your trade, or off the price of the vehicle, or off transport of the vehicle, or even off plane ticket for you to come up pick up your new vehicle. So yeah, you get $500 on a used car, and you get X-Plan supplier pricing from, or we match it on a new one. So we got a lot of great things going on.
That's a big deal. That is a big deal. Dustin, thanks for your time while you're racing. 15 minutes to go. Get car 15 up a couple more spots.
Appreciate it. You want a spot for me?
Well, right now you're clear. All clear.
Copy. Have a good one, Andrew.
Dustin Slider on track in 7th spot, and of course a lot of great deals that he was talking about at Barber Ford. Check them out, www.barberford.net. Meanwhile, Steve, touching on your conversation about brake bias and brake rotor glow, there's a lot of it, and clearly these guys are dialing that brake bias back good ways. Again, this is a production-based car. It's going to come with a lot of front brake bias. I mean, of course, they've got much beefier front brakes. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if this era production Mustang came with rear drum brakes instead of discs. But these guys are using a lot of rear brake.
It's interesting too. I mean, right off the showroom floor, these Mustangs probably had a balance of maybe 60-40 if you're going to be real aggressive, maybe like a 70-30. Obviously in race trim, maybe the ability to balance that out front to back and dial in more rear brake. But as he was saying, he's got more front brake into it than the other guys. He was mentioning how it didn't want to turn in. A lot of times the guys will use that added brake bias to help the car rotate and transfer that weight to the front of the car and help it corner. Effectively, trail braking is what we call it. These guys, I'm sure they're aware of that, but with more front brake, you're less likely to be able to turn it in.
It's kind of an oddity, right? In NASCAR racing, and really I think most purpose-built race car racing, I think a lot of rear brake does help. I feel like if I were driving one of these cars, maybe I'm completely off base, so we'd have to talk to the drivers a bit more. I feel like a little more front brake would actually help you. Slow the car down more quickly and pitch the nose. I feel like the rear brake would be great for trail braking, but I feel like, especially on a shorter track like this, if you've got to pitch the car into Druids, maybe you want that front brake. I also think, with the more sweeping nature of the way this track is built, that rear brake might help stabilize the car. 6 to 1 half dozen the other, I suppose. I mean, try one, see if it works, try the other if it doesn't. And it's interesting, Dustin clearly talking about most of the races so far this season being front brake dominant. Clearly, maybe the sweepers are taking over, right? You want that stability, a little more rear brake, as opposed to shifting the weight abruptly as Keys goes up the inside, and he will take that 5th spot away, at least for a moment. He clears the 18 car.
Definitely clear down into the left-hander. He's in good shape for that, but to touch back more, of course, I don't want to beat the brake conversation to death, but to talk about, again, it's a different vehicle than these Mustangs, but we ran a late model stock league on road courses exclusively, and I took a little bit of advice from a gentleman named Zach Millett, who's effectively one of the best drivers I've been up against in a road course, and he's like, send the brakes all the way to the rear as far as you can take them in that car, and I was uncomfortable with it. But it really did improve the lap times once you made the adjustment. It was worth half a second at least at most tracks. So I don't have any experience in this Mustang. I'd be curious to try it. In fact, when we get off air here, I'm probably going to do it as the goes off into the gravel.
Logan Keys, big mistake there in turn 1. He had just made that pass on Brian Howard, and as you're on your late model tangent, which is totally fine. On your late model tangent, I saw the writing on the wall for car 18. He used the draft on the front stretch, which we haven't seen much of at this track in particular. We've seen it more at places like Barber. This was a big opportunity for Howard in turn 1. I'm just surprised that Logan Keys bit the bullet here and went as deep as he did into turn 1. Look how much later he got on the brakes and clipped a little bit of grass with the left rear. That was never going to work.
I don't know, Andrew, if there was a little tiny bit of contact just before turn in there. I don't know if we got a different angle on that or not, but there may have been just a slight tap. It's hard to tell. I
don't think so. I really think it's just a matter of how late Logan hit the brakes into the corner. One more look. This will be from the 18 car's perspective. Watch how much later. And hopefully you'll be able to tell with the dip of the nose here from Howard when he gets the brakes right there. Watch how much later it is. He's gone.
Yeah, he just tried to drive it in there deeper, and it just didn't pay off.
It's interesting, trying to outbrake as the leading car. That's a bold move. Unfortunately, it didn't work for Logan. It did work, though, for Brian Howard to just kind of hit the R2 Intimidate button and go on by car 43. Meanwhile, that fight we talked about so much earlier between second and third, Sancinelli and Labano, and of course Thompson was part of this earlier. It has stayed right about where it was, about a second apart. Nothing really changing. And I'm not sure anything is going to change between these two. Sancinelli, if he's run this well to this point, 10 minutes to go, I can't believe he is going to make many mistakes.
Watching Kevin and Edward both, their lap times, at least the last time by, pretty comparable to each other. Of course, this time by, it's a little bit faster for Parrish, about a tenth and just a touch more. But Parrish really can just kind of put it in cruise control here for the next 9.5 minutes or so. He's got a 14-second plus advantage, it looks like, over the second place machine. He doesn't need to push, just needs to be clean and consistent the rest of the way.
And certainly Kevin has locked up the championship at this point in time. 400 points coming into tonight. That's a guarantee by now, but still wants to go out here and get these race wins. He's got 2 on the season, which is crazy that he's only got 2 on the season considering we've run 4 races, and he's been in front for all 4 of them, now 5 of them. This will be win number 3, but it definitely feels like he should have won at least Watkins Glen to add on to that total to make it 1 higher. It really should be 3 coming into tonight, but that fuel mileage race, that kind of surprise fuel mileage race at Watkins Glen, hey, it shifted things around, made things a little bit more exciting there for a little while. I wouldn't be opposed to more fuel mileage racing, especially with the way Rafael Franco managed that situation, but Parrish certainly one of, if not the best, that we have seen in a while in this Mustang. I'd say there probably are better. I mean, Scott Banks, Benjamin Roberts come to mind from Production Car Challenge alone, but Parrish is right there in the conversation with them, and I wouldn't at all bet against Kevin Parrish on any given day. He's just good in this car.
You know, with all that, not necessarily taken away from Kevin Parrish here, but Sancinelli running in that second spot. Chuck Labano's starting to close the gap, and in fact, his last lap almost 0.3 of a second faster than Sancinelli. We'll see if he's got enough time here with 8 minutes remaining to reel in second place and maybe take that second spot on the podium.
I mentioned last lap, Labano was faster by 0.3, thereabouts. We'll call it a quarter second. This next lap around, slower by about a quarter second. That tells me Ed probably made a slight mistake and was able to correct for it the following lap, and Chuck is probably just hanging on to the idea that if he's able to keep this pressure on, if Ed does make a mistake, second place can be his.
Deficit down to about a full second plus just about half a tenth. We'll see if he can make that even smaller as the race winds down here with 7.5 minutes left.
Not a whole lot going on the racetrack. There we go, that we haven't already seen. Elliott Stage, though, does come in for service. And again, props to this guy. Brand new, it looks like, to the sim. Certainly brand new to the league. I mean, he's got a rookie 2.5 license. 2.32. I rating of 1290, which won't even be displayed considering he is a rookie on the sim. Cool to see Elliott just sticking with the race. It's really... Especially starting out, it's really easy to see a large deficit ahead of you, in this case 4 laps to the next car of John Casey, and get discouraged. But Elliott, at least to the point, and look at that, goes right back on the racetrack. He does not know the meaning of the word quit, it seems. He goes right back out there, continues on. I really admire that in any scenario, but especially in this scenario, as he's coming to grips with the race car and just learning, just trying to be a part of this series. That is so cool to see.
You know, and when we were talking to Dustin Slider, too, it didn't go unnoticed by the competitors out there. He said so himself, that he's out there, he's learning, he's getting out of the way of the leaders, he's doing everything he should be doing. It's definitely refreshing to see, because you see a lot of guys that may come in here with limited experience, make a mistake early, and just, throw it away and say, never mind, I'm done, I'm going to exit here, rage quit, whatever you want to call it. You keep saying it, Andrew. He's sticking with it. It's good to see.
Battle here. This is for 9th and 10th. Blair Patterson inside, Billy Hensley outside. And how about another driver brand new to the series, Billy Hensley? Saw him in a Facebook group earlier today asking for any broadcasted races on the sim. Mentioned Dustin Slider, mentioned the Discord invite link, and mentioned the broadcast link, and here he is in the race. This is cool to see as well. That doesn't always work out that quickly, but good to see Billy Hensley in the race in the number 10, and making some decent moves. I mean, he's having a pretty good race. I don't know how much experience he has in this Mustang, but he's held on nicely. I don't see that he's made any massive mistakes. The car looks good. Started 14th, up to 9th. That's a good day, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's still out there trucking, that's for sure, and he's having a decent battle here just a moment ago, it seemed.
Small issue there for Elliott. You see leader cars go by. But yeah, Hensley now pulling away from Blair Patterson, which you said is one of the names that you did recognize coming in, so good to see Blair sticking with it as well. Teammates with Logan Keys. I feel like while this might be one of the lower car counts we've seen this season, there's good energy around this series, really positive vibes. And as we go into Lime Rock Park in a couple of weeks, well, in a month, I really look forward to seeing that last round culminate and of course, crowning Parrish as the champion, giving away some really cool prizes. I know there's an H-pattern shifter up for grabs from Fan Attack. I mean, there is just so many cool things around this league in particular. I really am looking forward to future seasons of it. Maybe put the races a little closer together. I think keep some more guys a little more in tune and interested. A lot goes on in 6 months, but this has been a really cool series to get off the ground. And now with 4 minutes to go in race number 5, while yes, there's a massive lead from Kevin Parrish out front, you have to admire races like this. I think it goes back to Kyle Larson of the All-Star race this year, Martin Truex Jr. in the Coke 600, so many years ago now. That feels weird to say. It was only 2017, I think. Absolutely dominating the race. There aren't many drivers that do that in any case. Tonight, though, Parrish has got it.
Meanwhile, we're watching Parrish here. There has been a change for position between Blair Patterson and Billy Hensley. Hensley's gone off track a couple of times just trying to stay out in front, made some mistakes, and has lost that spot.
And thanks to the power of television, we can take a look back at how it happened. So Hensley was still ahead out of turn 3 the last lap. He does not exit turn 5 in that same position. Here's a look through Surtees at turn 4. Got in the grass a little bit. Patterson had the right side into Clark curve, and Hensley just ran out wide, eventually going off track in the grass there and losing even more time. That's a weird piece of racetrack, especially when you've got a big, massive motor and hood to look across in this Mustang. You don't necessarily see where the track falls away, depending on your angle, I suppose. If you're in VR, it's harder to see, but the track just falls away in such a weird way. It can be challenging there in turn 5.
You know, turn 5 is its own entity in itself. I mean, it's difficult regardless of how good you are. It's almost impossible to really see the apex, just because you mentioned it earlier in how it's kind of like a hairpin, but not really, almost like a carousel, but not really either. It's just a tough corner overall, especially with the elevation change of it from the start to finish. It's a tough one to get a hold of.
I said it earlier, I'll say it again. It's like a carousel into a hairpin into a sweeper, and there's a chicane leading into it. I wouldn't even say a chicane. Track. Yeah, it's a left-right flick leading into it, as you see Hensley give up a spot. Well, not a spot, but track position there to Ed Sancinelli. Labano now going to go by the number 10. And Matt Thompson, never able to make up time up to Labano. He stays 6 seconds back. So everybody kind of holding station for the time being. Only a couple of minutes left to go. 1 minute and a half to be exact. You can still get involved. I'll say, to be exact, 1 minute and 40 seconds. There we go. You can still get involved with this league. You can still get into these races. In fact, you could join for Lime Rock Park, round number 6. Contact Dustin the Slider on Facebook, SLUITER. I'm sure you could probably get in contact with them. It'd be a little unorthodox, but if you went to www.barberford.net, I'm sure you'd get in contact with them. Maybe not the best way, but you can also, of course, find them on Discord. If you go through Pitstop TV, we can point you in the right direction. That, I believe, was 2 laps to go.
2 laps to go, just over a minute remaining. Sancinelli holds on to that second spot over Chuck Labano. Chuck has cut into that lead just slightly. It's just under 9/10 of a second. It was just over a second recently. He gains a ton of ground there for a moment there. It's now 7/10 of a second, the difference between Sancinelli and Labano. I just don't know if he's going to be able to get there and make the pass here before this one's out, unless there's a major mistake from the 257.
Well, there is lap traffic right up the windshield. You've got... Well, first, you've got Elliott Stage in that white and purple machine. He goes off track now in turn 3. That opens it up for these guys. But Blair Patterson is just out the windshield of Sancinelli. And as Parrish comes around and takes the white flag, 1 lap to go, brought to you by Whiplash Simcams, these two have to go through the 91 car. And that hole has closed up, nearly contact there at turn 5 between Sancinelli and Labano. 1 lap to go for these gentlemen. And Labano's there. He loses some time through turn 5. But, Steve, we've got ourselves a fight.
Not very common to see that much of a give and take on the final laps of a race. I was very surprised to see him check up the way that he did and not make contact. Good on him for doing just that, but he does remain there in that position.
Looked around the outside there at turn 2 at Druids Bend, not able to do anything with it. Sancinelli hangs on, and that might have been the best opportunity maybe for Labano, but he's still got turn 5 up ahead, and if he gets in just right, he could get to the back end and loosen up that 257. Looks like it won't happen. Plenty of time between those two, as Kevin Parrish has won at Brands Hatch. He takes the checkered flag tonight for the 3rd time this season. Congratulations to Gar 69. He was that far ahead of these guys that we missed him coming across the line. Just with these guys battling. And lap 53 goes complete for these guys as well. Problems, Brian Howard, he's gone off track. Turn 5, he's gone for a spin. He'll get back going, but he does lose 5th place to Logan Keys. Howard will finish 6th, and Dustin Slider will come around in a moment to be the last car on the lead lap. Of course, a shorter track, more opportunity for drivers to be lapped. And over the course of 53 laps, again, race winner, Kevin Parrish tonight in that gray, yellow, and black, number 69 from Aerokinetics Racing. A really solid team on the iRacing.com service showing why. Parrish went over there. These guys have a lot of pace. Parrish got a lot of pace in this car. They definitely like to win.
And Andrew, going back to the Brian Howard incident, that was initiated by some contact on the final lap. If we get an opportunity to look at that.
We definitely can do that. Let's take a look back then at the incident for Brian Howard and Logan Keys. Trouble, it sounds like, on the last lap. Here it is through Clark Curve. Keys just there on the inside, and we can get a little more of a look at what led up to that through Surtees, because that's going to tell us more of the story here. We had seen Logan, not Logan, what am I thinking of? Elliott Stage there spin out of turn 3. He ends up escaping. Logan Keys over the grass there coming into turn 5 and just sends the 18 car. At first, the first clip we saw on the broadcast at least, it looked relatively incidental. That looked a little bit less incidental to me.
Yeah, I'm not in the position that I want to throw anybody under the bus there. I know it's the last lap, but you throw in the grass situation. I don't know if he had an inability to get slowed down after being in the grass, because, of course, he's probably trying to get on the brakes in that situation. I wouldn't say it was intentional by any stretch of the imagination, but nevertheless, contact was made, and around went the around went the Mustang. Ryan Howard goes around here, coming to the finish.
That was an awful lot of grass. I mean, that was a corner cut from the 43. I know you're a little hesitant. I'll go ahead and say it. I'm not going to say it was intentional, but that was really aggressive and not the line you should be taking. I mean, that's fully off the pavement. That's fully in the grass. I'm not going to say it was intentional. Probably a last-ditch effort from Logan. Hopefully it wasn't intentional. Hopefully there wasn't some kind of bad blood that we missed. But that's not usually smiled upon. I would go as far as to say that would be frowned upon by most sanctioning bodies.
You know, I wonder if even that cut, if he got a slowdown for that.
I would imagine so. I really would, and I'd be surprised if he didn't. Now, I don't think it mattered at that point in time, but let's take a look back at our race results after 53 laps of racing. Kevin Parrish with the race win. So much domination out of him. 20 seconds ahead of Sancinelli. Labano goes 3rd. Thompson 4th. Keys gets the top 5 in some dramatic fashion for sure. Howard goes 6th then. He still picked up half of the spots that were ahead of him coming into the day. Actually, technically over half. He went from 12th to 6th. That's 7 passes, I believe he made. That's a really good day for Howard in the 18 car. Slider goes 7th, not where he should have been, but a couple of mistakes relegate him. Michael Nash, Blair Patterson, John Casey, all 1 lap down. Just had quiet days.
11 was Billy Hensley. Elliott Stage, a strong run as far as getting some experience here, not giving up, finishes in the 12th spot. Scott Segrist, 13th. The 93 of Patrick DeSaulnier, trying that one, his 14th. Phil Keck didn't take the green, neither did Dustin. Actually, no, he did, but that's a different account. He's here in an admin role, but we'll count him in the broadcast results anyway.
Well, Dustin was on track. He just had 2 accounts.
Yeah, he was there twice.
Yeah,
Does he get
finished,
points for both accounts or no?
He could use them to try and catch up to Kevin Parrish. But I don't think so, unfortunately. He would love it, but not gonna quite work that way. But hey, Car 69. We've talked to him so many times this season. Let's do it one more time at the very least. Kevin Parrish, the victory lane here at Brands Hatch, and there was definitely some positive buzz around the choice to go to the Indy course, and it was clearly no match for you. Indy course, full course, doesn't matter. You led every single lap here, all 53 on this shorter course. What was it like behind the wheel?
Yeah, that was a good night tonight. Unfortunately, Bill wasn't able to join us. He just popped in for qualifying to say hello. So yeah, it was a good night.
Well, I definitely wish Bill could have been out there, but it made it an easy night for you, and we can, I think, officially confirm you as the champion, which, of course, has some perks going along with it, but you want to close this season out with a couple of big W's. You've gotten one of those. How do you get it at Lime Rock in a month?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Lime Rock. I got some tricks up my sleeve there. I usually do pretty well around Lime Rock. Good at conserving the tires and getting it up that hill over the jumps. So we're going to put on a show.
And Kevin, you're one of the better drivers, if not one of the best drivers in the Mustang on iRacing. We see you every Monday night contending for wins, top threes. We saw some new drivers in this race, Elliott Stage being one of them. He stayed out of the way, stayed nice and polite, it looked like, on the racetrack. Do you have any words of wisdom to these drivers that are just beginning their journeys with the Mustang on iRacing? It's a really cool car, but do you have any tips, any words for those guys that are just starting out?
Yeah, it's I gotta say it's kind of unique to the service. So like you just gotta remember what you got under you. You've got a lot of power, you got a lot of torque, but you don't have a lot of tire, and you have no aerodynamics. So slow in, fast out, take care of those tires, and let the engine do the work.
Kevin Parrish, victory lane tonight for Car 69. Might want to listen to what he has to say. Kevin, thanks for talking to us. Hopefully we'll talk to you again at Lime Rock.
Always a pleasure. Look forward to it.
Kevin Parrish goes to victory lane, and that means Steve Ed Sancinelli, who goes second place tonight, I'm sure has some comments as well, especially with that battle late in the race.
Yeah, we'll see what he has to say here when he gets up into the broadcast booth. It's Steve with Pit Stop TV. Congratulations on the second place finish here tonight. It was really just a battle between you and Chuck Labano there, as Kevin went out to about a 20-second advantage over you to close this one out. You did have a little bit of a concern with Chuck closing the gap there late. It ended up being just about 3/4 of a second at the finish line. Were you watching him in the mirror every single lap, or just kind of running your race?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was watching for Chuck. And Matt, and then Matt had a little wobble there after turn 2, so I knew Chuck could get me. You know, we run together quite a bit, so I knew he had the possibility to get me there. And then with lap traffic and that final corner, I knew that I struggled. So I know he was getting a good run out of there. He was also getting a good run out of turn 2 and 3. So I kept watching the relative and then just hoping, you know, that he would stay with that 1 second, 1.2 behind. But yeah, when I looked, all of a sudden it was cut down quite a bit. So it definitely had me scared for a while.
Yeah, we were watching that final corner. It seemed that he was able to close the gap a couple of tenths just about every lap in that corner, but you made up the difference throughout the rest of the lap. Where were you excelling through?
I think turn 1, I felt the tires starting to go away, but I kept trying to see what they were going to do. And I figured I had turn 1, I had to defend turn 2, and then if I could get through turn 3 cleanly enough, I think I didn't worry so much because I just needed to place the car to where he wouldn't be able to get a run or get the car under me.
Well, certainly a strong run here tonight. Again, you qualified third, finished here, runner-up position. Next race, the final race of the season, going to be out at Lime Rock. How do you feel about your chances out of the Lime Rock Park?
Lime Rock's going to be a tough one. We'll see if Phil Keck comes back. You know, congrats to Kevin too, but I think it'll be good fun. Hopefully Chuck can make the race as well, and Matt Thompson, and I think that I can do okay if I can get a good start and just keep the car under me on those cold tires.
Well, Ed, once again, congratulations, and thanks for talking to us. Good luck at the next race.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for what you do, and take care. We'll see you there.
Good to see Ed after finishing second place tonight. I don't think I've ever talked to the guy between all the Sim Pit broadcasts we did months ago, and of course the few races he's done here at the Barber Ford Mustang Club. Been a long time, I guess, watcher of his races in that case, but I don't think I've ever talked to Ed yet, and now I get the honor of talking to Chuck Labano, who goes third place. No, I don't actually. He's not in the Discord channel. That means, you know what? Let's grab Elliott. We talked about him all night long, just staying in the race. We already talked to Dustin. We can ignore that guy. Let's see if Elliot notices we pull him up here and undeafens in Discord, because Elliot Stage really did put together a nice day as far as staying out of the way, just minding his P's and Q's. And again, we admire that in a rookie driver like Elliot Stage. And I don't know if Elliot's going to notice that we pulled him up in here, but at the very least, we gave it a shot. If Elliot comes back, we'll talk to him before we close this broadcast out. Oh!
He's clicking the right buttons. He's starting.
He's clicking buttons. We've almost got him. Go ahead and hit the unmute, and we'll get Elliot Stage's comments here after 53 laps of racing. Elliot, good to talk to you, as we saw your first race here in the Barber Ford Mustang Club. We noticed the rookie license, and of course, you were just trying to stay out of everybody's way. Did a great job of that. How new are you to iRacing? What's your experience level like? What brings you to iRacing?
I'm not really that.
I'm not sure if your mic cut out or maybe you're on push to talk, but we heard a little bit of that, Elliot.
It's not my first time doing iRacing, but it's my first time using this car on the track.
And it's an easy car as far as getting into road racing. That doesn't make it necessarily an easy car in general. What did you find most challenging about this Mustang, particularly here at Brands Hatch?
I technically say like it was hard to control, but it was kind of fairly easy.
And so hopefully you stick with this car, maybe get a little more accustomed to it. Do you hope to be, or do you plan to be back in the field at Lime Rock Park for the last round of the season and continue on with these Barber Ford Mustang guys?
Possibility, yeah.
Well, we certainly hope to see you in race number 6 at Lime Rock Park. In between Production Car Challenge, if you work up to that D class, you can get on the broadcast on Monday evenings, potentially. A lot of these guys, they are great resources to learn this car. So if you're interested in this car in the future, Kevin Parrish, Ed Santinelli, those guys run this car a lot. Elliot, it's good to talk to you. It really is. We admire the fact that you stuck with it all race long. Props to you, and best of luck on your journey through iRacing.
Yep, can I also say I appreciate Dustin and the other person who are coming here. I'd like to appreciate them saying thank you for the appreciation and getting out the way, and I was also in the podcast the entire time.
Absolutely. Elliot, congratulations on getting through that race. I've cut some laps here in the Mustang. I wadded up a lot more than you did, so congratulations on wadding up less, crashing less than I would have. Elliot, hopefully we're talking to you in the future.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Elliot Stage with a good night behind the wheel, I'd say. Closes things out pretty nicely. That's just, again, a good story. We do have, it looks like, Chuck Labano now, so I will bring in driver number 11, who goes third place. And Chuck, sounds like you race with a lot of these guys pretty often. What was it like tonight, though, here at Brands Hatch Indy?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun here at Indy. You may notice that some of these guys are from the other league. We like to race and battle each other as hard as we possibly can. But having only been here, I'm going to say a couple of races now, the racing has been nice and clean. Everyone's good and they communicate, and the battles are still a lot of fun. So it's been a good time.
You know, it's sometimes tough to find communities quite like this around the Mustang, and now in this Barber Ford Mustang Club. It feels like the energy is just really good. Can you relate with that? Can you, I guess, second that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you probably, I don't know if you guys had access to the voice chat, but some of us were having like decent conversations in the chat. Kevin was just driving away for everyone, and I just asked him if he could send us a postcard.
That's a good one. Chuck, hey, congratulations, third place. A lot of points for you. I know the season points aren't really that big of a deal at this point in time. Everybody coming in at their own part of the season. Long race season will do that, but congratulations, third place. A good night out there. Clean night for you in car number 11. Hopefully we're talking to you at Lime Rock.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll see you then.
Chuck Labano in the third place tonight, and hey, good to talk to him for the first time. Good to talk to a lot of these guys for the first time each of these rounds. And you know what, let's bring in Dustin quickly for a word before we close this thing out. Steve, here comes driver 15 for you.
Get it.
Hey, Dustin, it's Steve with Pit Stop TV. Congratulations on a solid run here tonight. Not necessarily where you planned on finishing, but a 7th place finish. Walk us through your race.
My race it started really high and then went really low, you know. We had a great start to the race. I got stuck in between a rock and a hard place. Turn one, I either had to bring it 3 wide or get run over. Had a 1X there, I believe, coming into Druids, and ended up P2 at some point, and then the whole race just fell away.
Well, with all of that, we had Elliot Stage up here in the booth prior to you coming up in here, and he was very appreciative of the kind words that you gave us during the race, which didn't necessarily expect to hear that, but he's a young man learning iRacing, and are you looking forward to have him back here at Lime Rock if he chooses to do so?
Oh, absolutely, man. I look forward to see. I love to see new people get involved, get into the sport, just fall in love with racing in general. I think to me is awesome. And then him stick it through to the end of the race. I can't tell you how many races I've quit because I've fallen so far behind. Just parked it. And the resilience there was awesome.
Yeah, I think the most of us here on the iRacing service have been guilty of the rage quit at some point or another, whether it be for an incident on the track or just not being up to speed. That kid, who sounds like a young man, definitely giving it time and trying to learn the craft. Again, his first race in this car at this track. You yourself, again, finishing in the 7th position here tonight. We talked about him showing up at Lime Rock. Of course, I expect you to be there. How do you feel about that final race of the season out at Lime Rock Park?
Man, I'm hoping. I think that this is probably the lightest crowd we've had all season long. I think Lime Rock will pick up a few. Brands Hatch is not generally a popular track outside of the Europeans. I think Lime Rock will bring a few people, and I think a 7th place, or where'd I end up? 7th place, I think would be a solid finish. I would be happy with 7th place. If we get, 20, 25 drivers, I would be super happy with that. There's a lot of talent.
Well, I mean, road course racing, certainly right up my alley. If I've got time next Friday, I might even come out here and run with you boys.
Oh, I'd love to have you. Steve, actually, can I ask you a question? Actually, can I ask you a favor real quick?
What do you got?
Is there any shot we can, I don't even know if BK's in here, but can we reach out to Brent Keith down here in the Discord? He's been the admin every single race. This dude has shown up, adminned every single race. And if you guys got questions for him, ask away. But BK has done a fantastic job all season.
It looks like Andrew's got BK up here in this channel right now, so take it away, Andrew.
Yeah, we do. And my question then is BK, the BK from BK Paints.
Oh no, is he here?
He might not be. He might have stepped away from the PC. But you know what? Appreciation shown regardless for Brent Keith. He's been a part of this league since day one back in Charlotte. And I'm sure you guys go a little ways back, considering you both have the Glovebox Motorsports logos there for your profile pictures in Discord. Tell us about at least what you know then, Dustin, as far as BK goes.
BK's just a great guy, dude. He's a straightforward guy. He's been pretty much any league I've had going. This guy is admin. He's a real black and white fair, so you know what to expect. There's no gray area when he admins, so it makes the races great. Glovebox Motorsports. I've been on Glovebox Motorsports about 5 years. The first Snowball Derby with the old Sim Racing Network that fell to pieces. That I'm not going to talk anything ill of the guy, but he got me involved with Glovebox. Then we became friends, and we've done nothing. I mean, we've got a group of about 10 guys, and we just love to race. If you need a paint, go to BK Paints on Facebook. He'll get you squared away. He makes a race car look like a race car. He's not gonna, quote unquote, doll it up with too much lipstick. All the race cars look like race cars. Probably one of the best painters on iRacing when it comes to making it look like a race car. There's not gonna be a bunch of flash. It's just gonna look like a race car.
There you go. BK Paints on Facebook at BK Paints. Check them out. Also check out Admin Box. Dustin, thank you so much for what you and Brent do. It really is a pleasure on each of these first or second Fridays of the month, getting into these races, having some fun with the Barber Ford Mustang Club. Thank you guys. We will very much be looking out for you. Can we maybe get another admin, get Brent on the racetrack at Lime Rock?
I would love to have Brent on the racetrack. I will talk to him. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think that'd be a lot of fun to get him on the racetrack. In fact, what I would like to do, Andrew, and I know we're live right now, so this is maybe a conversation for a different time.
Uh-oh.
I was thinking about doing so we got the drawing for the H pattern. The week after is when the drawing is scheduled, and we are going to schedule it to live. Why don't we throw these cars at a Southern National or a short track? We'll just do a random short track, and we'll do the drawing for the Fanatec during one of those, a goofy race.
Why don't you Mustangize the short track and do it on Tsukuba 1000?
You know what? Maybe we need to do that. Andrew, what do we got going on Sunday night?
We'll figure it out, I suppose.
No, Sunday night. This Sunday night. What's the broadcast
This Sunday night.
Is that?
Well, we don't have this Sunday night open. Some plans in the real life.
No. Oh, I thought you had a broadcast this Sunday.
No,
Monday,
sir.
Tuesday, Wednesday. You got street stocks.
Tuesday we do. I'll tell you what. We'll figure something out. Let's.
Throw the broadcast. Throw your broadcast schedule up on the screen here real quick.
Well, you know what? Yeah, that takes care of the next I guess segment, if you will. Upcoming broadcasts here on the channel. Monday night we go out to Summit Point Race or Summit Point Motorsports Park, I believe it is Motorsports Park. Simlab Production Car Challenge brought to you by Barber Ford, 9:30 Eastern. That's Monday, November 13th. We actually do have an off week now for the street stocks at Tsukuba. Well, they now shift Tsukuba Circuit back to the 21st. David Levine having to take a bit of travel, so we're backing that up a little bit to Tuesday, November 21st by a week. But then in between there we go to Imola with the Production Car Fellows. I guess we'll get the gears turning here behind the head for Dustin, but let's go ahead and wrap the rest of the broadcast. We'll find something. We'll get it on social media very, very quickly. If we do find something that we can do here, it sounds like we're going to have something new special. Regardless, thank you so much to Steve Singer for being here. We won't keep him too much longer. I know he's got his broadcast stuff he has to get going for his channel.
Thank you, Steve.
No, happy to be here, man. It's a little awkward for me in a different position, but it was a fun race to watch. And like I said, I'm not kidding. I might actually jump out there with you guys next week.
Come on down.
Well, there you go. Big shout out again to Barber Ford at www.barberford.net. Of course, at BK Paints on Facebook and Admin Box on Facebook as well. A shout out to our partners, Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, CC's Business, of course, doing so much for us. And if you're in the Hickory, North Carolina area, or even the Charlotte area, anywhere, even Asheville, make the trip out to Mountain View tomorrow, 10 to 4. We've got an event for CC's Business, an open house at Southern Charm Beauty Lounge. Check out CC's Business on Facebook. See more information about that. We'll even share it over on Pit Stop TV. But that is going to do it for us this evening. Again, the schedule for Barber Ford takes us out to Lime Rock Park next time on December 8th. So in a month's time, thereabouts, 4 weeks or so. We hope to see all these drivers and more back for that race. Otherwise, thank you all so much for watching. It has been a pleasure as always. Race number 5 was a good one here for the Barber Ford Mustang Club. We can't wait to see what race 6 has in store for us. That will do it for us, though. Congratulations to our race winner this evening, Kevin Parrish, and a shout out to the partners at the bottom of the screen: In Audio, ATVO, Whiplash Media, SimCams, OBS, and iRacing.com. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. Steve Singer in here with me all through the evening. We'll see you next time, hopefully Monday, for some action from Summit Point, or back in a month's time for Barber Ford Mustang Club action in round 6.
If you're ready to hit the track in the iRacing Ford FR500S Mustang, then sign up for the Barber Ford Mustang Club today. With great prizes from our awesome sponsors, this league is fast, fun, and best of all, free to race in. Take on 6 races of wheel-to-wheel action, all broadcasted live on Pit Stop TV. As a member, you will receive a $500 voucher to Barber Ford, plus entry into a raffle for a brand new Fanatec H-pattern shifter. Every point you earn on the track is 1 entry into the raffle, meaning you can race your way into a brand new Fanatec shifter drawn on December 15th. Battle your competitors at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Barber Motorsports Park, Brands Hatch, and for the finale, Lime Rock Park. Join the Barber Ford Mustang Club at League ID 3350 today.